through this door lies another dimension. One of beeps, one of boops. A reality where 8-bit and HD clash. This is the point where new and retro meet. The 6.5 dimension, protected by the arcade overlord. You have crossed into the turbo zone.
Yo, welcome to the Turbo Zone, where fucking people fight. We're gonna fight. I have Spencer here.
Yeah, I'm ready to fight.
We're gonna fight. It's the Atari 2600 versus the PS4. Now, if we're talking using the consoles themselves as weapons, I think I'm gonna win.
I think you are. Yours has a really long joystick.
Yeah. Well, and I got wires and everything else. I got like the little paddle controllers and everything. I can swing around.
Yeah.
So I think I would win.
Yours looks like it would make a really resonating crunch on somebody's
face. Well, it's got that pattern on the front of the console, so it would leave an imprint on your face.
Yeah, like a bunch of little ridges on somebody's forehead. Oh! Curse that wood veneer.
So yeah, we're gonna do a little debate video. Teddy and I did one of these a long time ago, back in 2015. It was the 3DS versus the Wii U, and we're just gonna try to do something like that here.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be the Atari 2600 versus the PS4. Now, obviously, Spencer is gonna be the Atari 2600.
I'm a big retro fan.
I'm just kidding.
Games are really good.
He's gonna be the PS4 guy.
Yeah.
And be the Atari guy. What a surprise! I like Atari. What a fucking surprise. So yeah, we got a few topics written down here. We're gonna duke it out for a bit. No holds barred. Don't hold back. We're going at it.
I'm not holding back.
Oh, we are going. And then if you, the viewer, wants to comment and say who you thought won, go ahead.
Just put my name down. That's all that matters.
See, I think I should be the winner here because I already know I'm going to win. That's the way it works.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm ready when you are. What's the first topic we got going on?
I feel we should start off with the biggest and most exciting one, which is games.
Ooh, games. Okay. Do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Pulling it up real quick. But the library for the PlayStation 4 is very impressive, and it represents a definite tonal shift in video games from the Atari 2600 because of something called quality control, which really started with Nintendo. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Nintendo kind of pretty much started AAA gaming, which doesn't necessarily require it, but kind of implies a certain level of quality control. And it's carried over, obviously, from the Nintendo all the way to current day, which PlayStation 4 is, I would argue, probably the current leader in consoles. Not necessarily in all of gaming, but in general with the consoles, yes, it's pretty clearly the leader. So you have games newer games like Horizon Zero Dawn, that's an exclusive. Nier Automata, which is PC port as well, but Grand Theft Auto 5, I'm just trying to splash out a bunch of random different ones. Bloodborne, Witcher 3, it has a lot of good remakes on it, like Final Fantasy 12, it's got the Crash series, which just got released a little bit recently with all 3 Crash games. The amount of games that it has is pretty staggering, but I guess the one thing it would suffer on is that it does have a lack of, well, less so than the Xbox, but gaming nowadays has a certain lack of exclusivity. Oh my goodness. But it has a baseball game, MLB The Show, which is, I believe, unique to it. Just tons of games, really, really good games. It has a lot of Game of the Year contenders. Bloodborne, I believe, was close to being Game of the Year for most people. I don't think it quite hit the accolades, but to this day, people still play it. Really gorgeous, gorgeous games, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it once we get the comparison started, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess on my end here, I'll start off by saying that the Atari 2600, while not being the first home console really kicked off the home console market. And yes, there was a lack of quality control on the Atari because there was nothing else like it at the time. We didn't know how to, to handle the industry yet. Things were still very archaic.
Yeah.
But with that comes a certain charm. I mean, obviously there's the classic Atari games. Of course you have like the Pong games, you have Yara's Revenge, you have Space Invaders, Frogger, all the classic arcade games. They're all on the 2600. But like with that, we had a rise in one of the biggest third-party companies of all time, Activision. They actually came from the Atari 2600, and they made some of the best games on the console, like Pitfall. One of the most iconic games on the system. And also there were a bunch of other companies that threw their hat in the ring. While they are they weren't all great, it's still fun to go back and kind of dig through to see kind of like the hidden gems you could find in there. Because there were a lot of weird third-party companies with their own games coming out, and there's still a big homebrew community today that still makes homebrew games for the system. So with that, it's a pretty fun arcade-style console.
It also had E.T.
It did have E.T. You are right. The quality control thing is an issue on the 2600. But I feel like it's important though because it's why the quality control stuff went into effect. So if it never happened, we wouldn't have some of the great games that we do today.
I don't know, maybe, but
I think so.
But that's the thing is, if it never happened, but it kind of forced itself to happen, and they're not the ones that did it. Nintendo really did it. But no, I'm seriously standing by the whole Activision thing because they're a huge multi-billion-dollar company today, and they started. Then they were
they were employees from Atari that kind of broke away and started making their own their own games for the console, and they became like a big thing.
Yeah, Pitfall is pretty good actually. I played that one just recently on the original Atari.
Ooh, look at you!
Proud of
Getting at it.
So what is this stick and button combo?
Exactly. There's a simplicity to the games on the Atari too. It's certain charm that you don't get out of modern games. Yeah, like a lot of indie titles try to recapture that magic, but most of them go for the NES era style games. Nothing to really capture the Atari.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm being honest, it's pretty hard for me to play Atari 2600 games. I think they're just way too simple, and it's obviously no fault to their own. I mean, gaming has to come from somewhere, but they're just a little bit too simple. The graphics are a little too plain. There are some shining examples in there, like a lot of the popular arcade shooters really kind of hold up, which is nice.
Yeah.
But then there's games that don't. Most of them to me don't. But it's also again they're really low bit, the lowest of the low.
But you got to think, back then they were the hottest thing. Whenever someone's like, "Oh shit, Pac-Man's coming to Atari," that was big news.
Yeah, that was the big selling point, right?
Yeah.
They got Pac-Man, and they said, "Okay," so then it became the Atari versus arcades.
And Coleco brought some arcade games from Nintendo over, like Donkey Kong and DK Jr. and Mario Bros.
Yes, yeah, I remember. That's a weird thing that you obviously wouldn't see today.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess I'll go back to the PS4. Since you talked about the Atari for a second, I'll talk about PS4. While I do enjoy a lot of the PS4 library because of how different and unique, cool, a lot of the newer games are, there's still a certain we're still kind of stuck in the muck from the last generation, where everything was just kind of the same game, pasted, again and again.
I don't know. I disagree.
I feel like we're just we're definitely getting out of it with the PS4, but we still have a lot of that. There's a tons of Assassin's Creed games and tons of the same stuff. I mean, it's just over and over again. They're still making the same fucking games 12 times. But there are great games on the PS4. Don't get me wrong. But
I mean that's been going on for forever. As a company will just milk someone for all it's worth, and that's I mean, yeah, there's Assassin's Creeds. So I think there were only 2, right?
See, yeah, but you get what I'm saying though. Like, there's like the big industry aspect of gaming didn't like exist back on the Atari, so you didn't see 15 versions of Frogger. You just had Frogger.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, there's technically 2 Frogger games. Well, one was a sequel, but you didn't see 15 versions of the same game on the Atari. The only thing that Atari had a saturation of was space-themed games. But I think that's more of a product of the time. It's the 70s. Star Wars was popular. Space was a big deal. So.
But what are you saying that current gen is a problem with? Like
the I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. The multi-billion-dollar company milking craze that's going on now. Where
so you mean sequels?
Sequels after sequels, yes. Sequels on sequels. And not saying I don't agree with sequels. I think sequels are okay, but not every year. Not, over and over again with, like, barely any changes.
I don't know, but there's... I mean, I would agree with you that last generation was rough. Probably, and it's one of my least favorites. Probably I would say that it was, like, not necessarily sequels, though, that really ruined it for me. It was probably... first-person shooters.
Oh well, yeah, that too. That's what I also mean by like just making the same game like 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm. But I think that the PS4 has done a pretty good job of not doing that. I mean, they have EA. Being EA.
Yeah,
and Ubisoft kind of being Ubisoft, but not so much.
Ubisoft is. I don't know. That's a different topic for another day. I think they've fallen off the wagon a bit too many times now. I don't really care about that company anymore.
I mean, Assassin's Creed is that, but
Assassin's Creed and the Tom Clancy games. I haven't played the new. There
haven't even been that many.
Well, I haven't played the new Ghost Recon, but Rainbow Six Siege and The Division are both.
The Division, I didn't like it, but I heard it was alright. But I heard that the late game stuff was bullshit. Okay,
and then there's the Watch Dogs games and stuff. I don't know. It's just all the same crap to me now. But
Ghost Recon exactly Siege is totally different than those.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then Wildlands is pretty different too.
Yeah, I haven't played Wildlands yet. I do like Ghost Recon, so I do want to get into that sometime. But once again, I'm not here to rant about Ubisoft. That's a different topic.
Well, yeah, but it's... I mean, as indicative of the thing, I think they're trying out some pretty new things. Like, honestly, that's almost some MOBA territory stuff going on there.
Okay.
I
do...
Go ahead.
Sorry, I do appreciate the indie aspect of the PS4. If you don't like big AAA games, you could buy a PS4 and be entertained for hours, but just fucking like indie content on this, on the PS4 shop and stuff.
Oh yeah, there's tons.
So that is one great aspect of the console.
That's one thing about modern gaming that has a huge advantage is the store, the online store, because now you can get games that they could never have marketed, they could never have sold. Like
and
you could never sell Undertale on a store shelf.
Yeah, exactly. There's all kinds of cheap, like indie style games that are fantastic. So
back in the Atari 2600, they're all indie games.
Yeah, exactly. They're all indie games. And now there's still like a very niche like homebrew community that like makes their own games for this console.
Yeah.
Which is very cool because the Atari 2600, they didn't have like the tools that they have today with like the certain Unreal engines and whatever like that. So like whenever you programmed a game for the 2600, you had to like code everything yourself. So that's pretty impressive for some of the stuff that they got on there.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there wasn't like a template. So I guess we've spent a while on games.
Yeah, that's the crux of the matter, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the next topic?
I don't know. Just pick one. So what do we got to talk?
Let's do sales.
Sales. Okay. Well, that's more of a statistics thing. That one's okay. I guess. Let's look at sales. Let's see who sold. I mean,
okay.
Mine's the most influential console of the '70s. Yours is the most influential console of now. So
Uh-huh.
it'd be cool to see how they stack up.
All right, so it sold for $199, $200, which,
Okay.
if you adjust for inflation, is $786.50, 2016.
Okay.
It's kind of not kind of, pretty expensive console considering that's probably because it's such a niche thing at the moment, or at the time.
Yeah, it was just so such a new market.
But also surprising, and this is a weird stat. I'm not sure exactly where you draw the line or how much credence you give it. But it has sold 30 million units as of 2004, but it was discontinued in 1992. Not sure. Did Atari still somehow have stock and up until 2004, or is it just?
I'm not sure. I think some like French company owns them now, but I'm not sure what they're doing with all that. I know that like they have like those reproduction consoles and stuff. But I know that they kept the 2600 going. I think up until the Atari Jaguar.
Yeah.
So fucking Atari Jaguar. So.
That's my Jaguar.
What a shit show that console was. I mean, I would believe it up till about like 96 or so. I don't know.
Well, we'll just say 30 million because it says. I'm sure it tapered off tremendously, so it's probably like a million or something.
Okay.
Whereas the PlayStation 4 sold for $399, so $400,
okay.
and has sold 60.4 million as of June 2017. So yes, the PS4 sold a lot more units, but also based on the time frame, like the video games weren't even a thing when the Atari was doing its thing.
Yeah.
They were like a little toy, like a little novelty toy. So definitely nowadays it's like ingrained in our culture.
Yeah, it's like a big art form now. And back then, it was like, oh, don't get involved in that game industry. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. So you kind of look at it like, I mean, it's cool that we have the inflation adjustment, which is an interesting one to look at. But also, it'd be nice if we had like a people inflation adjustment, because like the market, is, like a market adjustment where, because like the market is huge for video games now. The market was not huge for it back then. Of course, back then you also had to compete with the arcades, which we don't have to do now.
Yeah, and also they had their big competitor was they had the ColecoVision and the Intellivision, which were like the other not Atari consoles.
It's definitely some interesting sales stuff. I mean, it's weirdly expensive, like almost to the point of it's somewhere like almost to a computer nowadays.
Yeah,
2600.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it was. Was it marketed? Well, no, like it wasn't marketed as like a home computer console, was it?
I think eventually they tried that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like as a CD-ROM add-on or some or disc add-on or something. I can't.
I don't think I had a disc add-on, but I don't know. But I know that that the Atari did have some home computers, so I'm not sure if that was like the marketplace they were at the time. But I mean, back in the day, you talk to anybody from that time era, from that era that played games, and they're going to like mention the Atari because so many like households bought that. It was like the Wii back then, like so many households had the Atari, and they had a certain, Space Invaders or Pong or whatever,
Yeah. I'm wondering what the market was for the Atari 2600. Was it? You probably know better than me. Was it like families? Or
yeah.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, because it was more like it was definitely more of like a new market. So like there wasn't like a hardcore scene like there is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like there wasn't like a fucking we're gonna go fucking play all night and everything. It was more like like a family would buy it and it'd be the family console and they'd play games and stuff and like look at any of the commercials from that era and it's very like 70s wholesome like family all together playing the games and stuff.
So Atari really kind of Nintendo kind of kept that same market.
Yeah, that's what Nintendo kind of did when they came back. They like took that market that the Atari started.
That's pretty interesting.
So, I mean, not saying that there's not some like hardcore style games on the Atari. It's just like games on the Atari can't be too complex. So like everybody could play it at some point. You know, like
yeah.
it's pretty
I don't know,
accessible.
Pitfall's pretty tough.
But yeah, I don't know how you would really judge who's the winner in this, though. I mean, obviously your console sold more, but the industry's a thing now.
Well, and also, I mean, its introductory price, PS4's was $400, but it's, I mean, you can get it now for significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if the Atari, well, it does say introductory price was $199. It doesn't say if it went on any reductions. I guess it could have. But if it sold that many at $786, technically it could have won.
I think it did get some reductions because like they had different units, and I know once I think it was the 7800 came out, they had a 2600 Junior console, so that was probably way cheaper than the original.
Yeah, so depending on how all that plays out, it actually could have been cheaper, or could have been more profitable. Well, not profitable, but more money made off the consoles, etc.
Okay.
But it's weird. It's weird because like they don't really. I'm sure it's changed since then, but back then maybe they made money off the console. I would guess at that much money. Whereas like nowadays, there's a whole marketing slew of how you make money off of a console, and it's usually on the sale of the console.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different now.
Yeah, it really is just apples to oranges on that.
So,
I am really confused at why it's so expensive, though. They should have toned that down.
The Atari? Oh, I think it was. I mean, you gotta, at the time that was a brand new thing. It's like, when like the original fat fucking iPod came out,
Yeah.
So it's like that. So, it was just such a big thing. At the time, it was like, whoa, like you could play video games at home. It's crazy.
What?
It's crazy.
You can play Pac-Man at home?
That's crazy.
That'll never happen.
I wonder how many consoles Pac-Man's been ported to now.
It's a real town bicycle.
Okay, I guess we should move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
What we got?
Specs.
Oh, this one's gonna be weird.
This is really interesting stuff.
Okay. So.
Because honestly, I would probably say that the Atari wins on this one. Let's compare.
Why is that?
I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
But Mediaite has a ROM cartridge and a cassette tape. It has a cassette tape? I didn't know. Oh, is it considering is it considering that a cassette tape? The game?
The cartridge?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know there was an Atari home computer that played games off like an actual cassette. So like I think it was the Atari 900, but I'm not sure. So I'm not sure what they mean about that. Maybe they do mean the cartridge.
It has a CPU is an 8-bit MOS technology 6507. No clue what that is. 1.19 megahertz. Memory is 128 bytes of RAM.
Ooh,
it's a real powerhouse. Controller input, joystick paddles for Pong, I would guess.
The paddles are for like a few games like Pong, Breakout, Warlords. There's a few games like that use the paddles.
It had a driving controller, trackball, and a keypad. A keypad that kind of implies something. That reminds me. I think there were some like home like applications for like home business stuff at the time. Mm-hmm.
So.
And online service, it actually had something called GameLine. It was a dial-up game distribution service developed by Control Video Corporation.
That's awesome.
Subscribers could install the proprietary modem and storage cartridge in their home game console, accessing the GameLine service to download games over a telephone line.
Ooh, how about that?
Talk about being ahead of your time.
That's like super early, like PSN. That's like surfing the Atari 2600 dial-up service.
Yeah, I wonder what that store looked like.
It was probably just like a very basic like menu, which is like, oh, here's 3 games or something. Yeah.
So PlayStation 4 operating system is the PlayStation 4 system software, whatever. That's not really an official one. Anyway, semi-custom 8-core AMD Jaguar 1.6 gigahertz CPU.
Jaguar. No.
Secondary low processor for background tasks. 8 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, 256 megabytes of DDR3 RAM for background tasks. That's weird. I didn't know it had the DDR3. Storage is hard drive.
Revolution.
What's up?
It stands for Revolution. That's DDR.
Get out of here. Displays 480p, 720p, 1080i, 1080p, and 4K for the newer one. Graphics is a semi-custom AMD GCN Radeon. It has inputs for DualShock 4, PlayStation Move, and you can use the Vita as well. It has camera connectivity. Obviously, it's online services, the PlayStation Network. It's not really backwards compatible, but it sort of mentions it on here as the PlayStation Now thing, but that's kind of eh. Predecessor
really
PlayStation 3. So the thing about it is the Atari 2600 came about when those things didn't really exist.
Yeah. Like, at the time, the only home console that really like happened, I think, was the Magnavox Odyssey, which was just a Palm console. So like there weren't really like home consoles with like different games you could play.
Yeah. So the comparison is kind of weak. Like there's not like a whole lot you can compare it to necessarily, but I would argue it's probably one of the higher end, even with computers being out, right? I mean, computers were probably super stalled at the time.
Yeah.
I don't even think most people had computers.
Yeah, and most of them were really basic. You know, like computers didn't really like, you know, like didn't really have like the standard operating systems that we have now. So
yeah,
you know, they were all like the command codes and everything. What do you want to call them?
So if you compare that to the PlayStation 4, where everybody has a computer now of some capacity, even our phones are computers.
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 and the Xbox, even the newer Xbox, they're really low. They're not very
yeah, compared to
strong.
computer, yeah.
Like my computer currently wasn't even that much. It was about $1,000, but I mean, that's what being a computer user is. Usually they'd be more expensive than that, but this one was. It has a 1070, which just destroys whatever a AMD GCN Radeon is. I don't even know what that is, but it's got to be weak. I can't even click on it because it's got two different tags. It has twice as much RAM, none of the background stuff, and then a 1.6 gigahertz 8-core processor. That could be kind of good, but you don't like the difference between a PC game and a PlayStation 4 game is pretty astronomical.
Yeah.
It's not even really a comparison. When people make the constant judging of like what console's stronger, it's a completely moot point. Like consoles have gotten so far away from being powerhouses. It's just like if you want to argue about power, then don't get a console.
Yeah, don't buy a console. You buy a console for the games.
Exactly. Which is why do you have an Xbox One if you have one? Anyway.
Yeah, why?
Why? These days when people tell me that they have an Xbox One, that's what I'm like. Why?
I'm like, wow, what do you play?
What could you possibly be playing on that?
Like, wow, I guess you're ready for Forza Sport 2, right?
Just get it on your damn computer.
Well, that's the thing is also a lot of the games on the Xbox One are also on PC.
Right, like.
So why even?
I always ask, like, why do you have an Xbox One? It's even weirder when they have a PC. It's like.
Yeah, it's like,
you have a legit PC. Why would you ever own an Xbox One? That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I think that the consoles are really weak. Okay. And I think that's indicative of something nowadays where back in the day, you know, Atari 2600, the technology was new and exciting and they really tried hard. And nowadays they're actually undercutting the consoles so that they can keep making money.
Yeah, so that they're more affordable. Or else they probably would cost as much as the Atari.
Right. If they really put in the effort that Atari had to, because obviously there was no legwork then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Transition. Okay, so what do we do? This appearance.
Ooh, appearance. Ooh, I think I win on this one. I mean, I get the wood grain. I got the ridges. You know, like you just see an Atari, you're like, oh shit, like that is like classic. Like that is the '70s right there.
No doubt.
Yeah, and then I see a PS4.
I don't know.
I see a PS4.
I think it looks a little bit clunky.
Do you?
You come on, that doesn't look a little bit.
Come on, no, it's great. It's great. It's got like come on, everything's better with wood grain.
It looks like it might be an air conditioner.
No, it's a lot smaller than the PS4. To be honest.
Honestly, though, I kind of with you because I don't think the PS4 looks particularly great.
No, the PS4 looks like it could almost be like a VCR.
Yeah.
I never liked the newer home console, the designs. They've been kind of weak since like the PS3.
Yeah, they look weird. These consoles do.
Yeah, like I kind of like how the Switch is doing it now, where it just looks like nothing else. Like you see a Switch and you're like, yeah, fuck, what is that?
Yeah, the Switch is like. What's your favorite looking console so we can use something to judge?
Of all time, like
Yeah.
I mean, this is not gonna come to a surprise from anybody. I'm gonna say probably like the Genesis, like the Model 1 Genesis.
You know, I like the GameCube.
Ooh, the GameCube is good too.
I think that's a gaming.
The
device.
Dreamcast is also pretty cool.
Yeah, Dreamcast was nice, but I like it when they look like they're for games. I am of
Yeah.
the caliber where I do not prefer that a game try to be anything but a gaming console.
So wait, so like we've gone backwards. Like you know how like the NES looked like a VCR. Like we've kind of like gone back to that to where like it's just a big box again.
I
It's
think
just a big
the
fucking box.
PS5 is going to be wood veneer. I'm calling it.
It's just- I don't even know. I don't even care about the like, and like I think that's the thing is that, like nobody really cares what it looks like.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, it actually is kind of a big deal in Japan. Not necessarily
is it?
what it looks like, but the size of the console.
Oh, okay.
That's why quote unquote, one of the reasons the Xbox does really poorly.
Is
It's
big.
so fucking huge.
Well, they had like the 360 had the smaller models though. Like they had like the slim models.
Yeah, but
They're
once
big
it's all
size.
about install base. Once you get it,
I don't know.
But obviously that's not really the reason. It's obviously because of the Japanese market.
So if we're going for style, I guess I win. I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna say-
purely style points, I would say it wins. Sony's.
I do like the PS4 controller though.
Yeah.
We do go look at the controllers, and I do think that the PS4 controller it's a very nice controller. It's a very well designed controller.
It's all right.
I really like it.
I don't think it's evolved very well.
I think it's like I think what it lacks in style it makes it makes up for with being comfortable. Like I went back the other day and I was playing Demon Souls on PS3, and oh holy shit, that PS3 controller feels awful. Like I was just like, oh, this feels terrible. Like what is this fucking hunk of plastic in my hands?
My favorite controller is the Xbox 360.
Is it?
I absolutely adore that controller.
My favorite controller of all time is the GameCube.
Oh, the GameCube. That's a good controller
That's a great controller.
for the games it was designed for.
Oh yeah. You know, obviously as it worked for everything. But
Yeah.
It's just as like, but you won't be using it for anything else. Like if you're gonna you could put like hook it up to your PC, but don't do that. Like don't fucking get it.
Don't do it.
I can't play Overwatch. With
Yeah,
this
yeah. It would
fucking
be
controller.
because like on that
fucking-
one you have to design the games around the A button. So
Yeah.
your game has to use the A button as a primary button, whereas like Metal Gear Solid used the circle button for whatever reason to
Yeah.
navigate.
Well, they had a Metal Gear Solid on GameCube, right? They
Yeah,
had
Twin
like
Snakes.
yeah.
But yeah, you got to make it for it. And also, it only had one Z.
Okay. So I guess if it comes to like accessibility, yeah, the 360 controller will probably be because you know you can use it to play like anything.
Yeah, but as far as these two go, I don't know. It's a tough call, but I guess for pure style, yeah. I mean, the wood veneer looks classic. I like that. Yeah, just the wood's really cool. PS4 is kind of bleh.
Yeah.
Also,
What
like
do
from
you
a design
think about the
standpoint, it's
joystick?
also not very good.
What about the joystick? What about the 2600 classic joystick?
I hate it.
Really?
Well, I don't. I guess I don't hate it. I don't really use it much. I don't like the idea. It just seems wasteful. But again, for the time, like the games weren't that complex, it didn't really matter.
One cool thing about the Atari though is that if you don't like the joystick, you can use a Genesis controller.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same hook-in. So if you don't like playing with the joystick, just plug in a fucking Sega controller.
That's really interesting.
And you're good to go.
But yeah, one thing about the PS4, I don't know if there are any flaws to the Atari 2600, but the PS4 collects dust like crazy.
Oh yeah, it does. It's got
and it overheats like a mother. Like a mother.
I would say like a mother.
You know how mothers overheat.
Hot mothers. One thing I will say about the PS4 is that where it is kind of a very basic look, it does leave it open for you to like put stuff on it. So like you want to add skins or anything else to it, like that's kind of cool. So like like I have like Mega Man stickers on mine, you know. So I guess that's something that like you can't really put stickers on the Atari because it's all just fucking nonsense everywhere. So you can't like there's no space for it. But like it's a very top PS4 is very flat, so like you can kind of like buy skins and make it look nicer.
That's true. That's true.
And I think there actually is a wood grain skin. So
there you go. But is it real wood? Wood veneer probably isn't real wood, is it?
No. Now, if they did have a wood grain fucking like case for the PS4,
it'd be sexy.
That'd be the best.
And I guess this leads us to the most, well, not the most important. I would probably argue games are the most important, but the final topic, which is the impact.
Ooh. Okay. So, what's the PS4 got?
I'm not so sure that the PlayStation 4 has a huge impact. I think they're really bringing console exclusives. They're kind of making the stand that they're important, and they're winning based off that. I would assume, or maybe just the initial install base was smarter to release it at a cheaper price.
What about the whole VR thing?
I don't know. That's a tough one because the PC's doing it, and they can always do it better. I think you got to start from the top down, and the PS4 has a lot of room to improve. I played it a little bit, and it's rough. It's got a long way to go. It's doing it. It's trying. God bless it. But
it definitely has those exclusive console games.
Yeah, I mean the amount of impact you can make nowadays is pretty reduced. I mean the Switch, I guess, made sort of a splash, but nothing like the Atari 2600 made a huge splash. But I would say a lot of it's negative. So that's where my thing's coming from.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I wouldn't say it was negative. I would say without the Atari, we wouldn't even have what we have today. It wouldn't have happened. Like Nintendo wouldn't have taken the stance that they did because there was nobody to come before. Come before them. Like the Atari, the 2600 was kind of like the what not to do and what to do console. It was like, we look from it. Look at it, see its mistakes, see its its achievements. And that's
isn't that kind of like saying that Germany wasn't bad because we learned things.
This is nothing. This is nothing like that. This is like
there are some really shady business practices.
This is like I'm trying to think of a good example. This is like because there's not really much of a industry else, another industry really like games. But I mean, take phones, mobile phones. You look back and there's all the big competitors in the mobile phone market, and they all rose up fucking that's probably a bad example because I don't know much about phones. But there has to be another market like that where the first one to really do it they didn't really have a map. And they kind of made the map, good or bad. They kind of made the path, and that's why whenever people a lot of times whenever you see retro merchandise, it usually has the either like the NES controller or the Atari joystick.
I would argue that the NES controller is much more prominent.
Well, yeah, because that was the big shift.
Yeah. I mean, I can see the point that if the Atari didn't make all those mistakes, we wouldn't have what we have today. But we could have, if they didn't make the mistakes, we could have had something else, which could have been better. We don't know what we could have had.
But you probably would have still lost what you have now.
That's okay. If it's better, I wouldn't have known.
I'm just saying, would you really want to take that chance?
Yes.
Like, if you don't know for sure if things would have been better, and you had to lose what we have now, do you really want to take that chance?
But I mean, again, it's kind of like saying, "I'm glad a bully beat up a kid because now we know that being a bully is wrong or something."
Well, that's the thing though, is that like all the examples you keep using are very negative and hurtful. Like the Atari, like the 2600 didn't hurt anybody because there wasn't an industry yet. It's just kind of like it. Yeah, but it was barely there.
They kind of created. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like Star Wars.
Yeah, it's something like that. Really or like really early comic books. Like you go look at like really early comic books, and it's kind of like nonsense, and it's like, what the fuck is all this? But because it's so different than what we had today.
But what ruined it, I mean, it was negative. Was really bad business practices, trying to rush games out.
Exactly. Which is something that's still prominent today. You still see companies do that.
Who?
It's terrible. Fucking everybody. EA, Sega. I fucking love Sega, but come on.
But are there games that are as broken as they were with the Atari?
I would say so. I mean, was it there was a big fiasco a couple years back with that Assassin's Creed game that was rushed out. Remember that? It was one of the PS4 games.
Yeah, and
it was just fucking glitched all to hell. I mean, yeah, now you can patch it. There was the thing with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. That game's absolute shit. That game has like a 7 gig update as soon as you put it in to fix everything.
Oh yeah, I played it the day it came out. It was totally broken. That game's
so like that's still a thing today.
Those are one examples. Whereas Atari 2600, towards the end of its career, that's what they were making.
I don't know. There's a lot of really good home console ports on there, especially of like arcade games, which are like the big, like the big market at the time. Like you see fucking Dig Dug on the Atari, you're like, oh shit, Dig Dug.
Yeah, I mean, there's good games on it, obviously, but Atari 2600 did so poorly with them that it ran the industry into the ground.
That was basically just 2 games, Pac-Man and E.T.
No, it wasn't those two.
No. Those two were rushed out the door. Pac-Man was I forget the guy's name, but the guy who made Yar's Revenge, I believe, which Yar's Revenge is one of the best games on the console. They were like, okay, you're making Pac-Man, you have 6 months, that's it. And he was like, what? And like that's why it's so shit. And that's basically also what happened with E.T.
I think it was even weeks.
Yeah, I think that one was like a couple weeks.
Yeah, but it wasn't just the 2 games, because nowadays if that happened, that 2 games wouldn't ruin it either.
Those were the big ones though. Those were the ones that like Atari had like they were like the big sellers. That's like Sony being like fucking putting a lot of money into new like God of War, and then like marketing the hell out of it, and it just being absolute trash because they rushed it out.
But remember that they really did so poorly that it ended the market for a while.
There was a crash. A crash that wasn't because of the poor games. That was because of the quality control. There was no
on the games.
So like anybody can just do anything. And
right. That's the
like,
thing is that I mean
oversaturation.
When I guess there's sort of a comparison with Steam, but the community's so strong now that
exactly
you have reviews so you know which ones are crap.
But I mean, yes, the industry crashed, but it was only for like a year, and it was just like basically everybody was like, "Oh, we're tired of these home consoles," and then Nintendo was like, "Here's a home console," and they were like, "Oh shit." So at that, it wasn't even like that much of a crash. It was just people kind of lost interest for a little bit.
I think that's pretty indicative of a big problem. We haven't had that. So.
I mean, I would argue Sony had that at the beginning of the PS3 launch.
No. Yeah,
I
mean the whole industry.
Oh well, no, because that'd be giant today. That'd be ridiculous today because it's such a big industry now. But
But
back
if you're
then,
gonna look at
where
it
it
from
was so small.
inflative standpoints, it is still a big deal because they still had the other. I mean, there were like 20 consoles getting released every year at the end of that thing, but still, like it is a market and it is a pretty big group that it all ended. I mean, this was across the board, like ColecoVision. Was it the Wonder Swan, or was that was something else?
No, that was later. That was with Jesco, I think.
Yeah. But like all those ones that came, I mean, there were so many. They weren't just Atari. There were tons that started coming out at the end of that cycle, and it was all crap. They had no quality, and at the end they were just in it completely just to rush the games out because people would. There's no review system, so people just had to grab it based on what the picture looked like.
But like, I guess I'm trying to say is that without that ever happening, we wouldn't have thought to put those things in action.
Without that happening, we wouldn't have to put those in action.
Well, no, it would have still happened just by somebody else. It would have still happened to somebody. Like if Atari never happened,
that's like
and
saying
somebody
that
else
didn't beat up that kid. If they didn't, then somebody else would. But that doesn't excuse the fact that somebody beat up some kid.
No. I think you're thinking of it in the wrong context there because it'd be like, okay, no, it'd be saying if the bully didn't beat up the kid, we wouldn't be so worried about bullying. That's what I'm trying to say. So even if...
But you wouldn't have to be worried about bullying.
So even if that kid didn't beat up that particular kid, some other kid would have beat up some other kid, and we would still have to, think about things from the same angle.
No, because if that kid didn't beat up a kid, we wouldn't have to worry about bullying. But if you're saying that somebody else would have done it, then we're back.
Yeah,
to the
somebody
same
else
page.
would. Yeah, like if they're going.
But then you can't. Then you're going to vilify. You can't vilify the other bully either.
So if Atari didn't happen, if fucking Nolan Bushnell and Steve Jobs and all them didn't fucking do what they did, and say there was another company that came up, say it was just Ploopy Games. That's what I'm calling Ploopy. And Ploopy made a console, and the exact same thing would have happened because there were no rules in place.
Okay, but that doesn't excuse it for being bad.
It doesn't excuse it, but it's important though. We're just talking about legacy. We didn't say it had to be good. We just said
we're arguing which one's better.
Argue if it's
that's the problem.
I would argue if it's important though, it's still kind
important,
of
sure.
It's a little. It's kind of better than being just good.
No, it's horrible.
I don't know.
I mean, if you're arguing which one's better, one of them left the legacy where we had to introduce like a lot more testing and a lot more looking at games because the games that released were so horrible. Like that's a horrible legacy to have, but it is a legacy. It left an impact, but
it's important though. Yeah, but it's still. Like I don't know. Even at that, people don't really think about the 2600 in a negative light. They think about like.
Oh, I think they do.
Not the 2600. I don't think so. I think it's still a pretty like a cherished thing. Like
I mean, because it had classic
that's why you
games
see
on.
so many like those like little collections and like reproduction consoles and stuff now because people think about it like so fondly.
Yeah, but they think about all that. Well, I guess maybe not from that era, but
yeah, exactly. Like
yeah, it had classic games, and it was definitely the forerunner of all that stuff. So that's positive, but certainly the other end of it is very negative.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
It did absurd damage to the industry.
But it was necessary though.
Why but it doesn't make sense that you say it's necessary.
Because I mean, if what happened didn't happen, we wouldn't have had like the whole system put in place by Nintendo. The whole AAA gaming wouldn't have became a thing. It wouldn't have got the work.
But we wouldn't have had to put anything in if they were more ethical with the release.
Okay, so you're saying that if they didn't do that and things just kind of worked out perfectly, then things would just be perfect. That's not the kind of world we live in, though.
But you can't not vilify them for it. Like you can't.
I'm
have
not
your
saying
cake and
not
eat
to.
it.
I'm not saying that. You know,
You
like,
are saying
like,
not to. You're saying
no,
go
no,
fight
no.
it.
I'm not saying that the console's sorry. You know that the company's perfect, but I'm saying that the console, while the console is good. It has great games on the system, but ultimately, it's also important. It's
Well, there's
like
a difference between important. I mean, again, Germany important. Good.
yeah, but the Atari 2600 didn't commit mass genocide.
I'm just saying, like, I use extreme examples, but that's the point, is to really illustrate that you can't you can't say like, oh, they were really impactful and that makes it a great console, because it is impactful, yes, great console when you cause that much trouble and become that much of a liability. That's not a good thing.
It was the industry that they created.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and like I'm not saying that like Atari is like the best company. I'm not like a huge fan of the company itself. I mean, they kind of like after the 2600, they kind of just shit on the floor and they were like, oh shit, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And, yeah, they kind of died because they didn't know what to do.
But it definitely left a bigger impact than the PlayStation 4. I just think it's an entirely negative one.
I don't see. That's where we're having the disagreement, because I don't think it's negative. Like you see anybody talk about the game crash, and they're talking about there was a big game crash because ET and everything. Well, they threw it in the landfill and everything. But I don't think it's ever like in like a really negative light, because people still are like wanting those like ET cartridges. People are still like
they want the ET cartridges because it's history.
Exactly.
But it's not good history. There's World War II memorabilia.
Yeah, but they didn't hurt anybody. They only hurt them.
They burned tons
They
of
only
consumers.
hurt themselves. They only hurt
No,
themselves.
they burned consumers.
They didn't burn consumers. Consumers burned them by stop caring.
Well, yeah, that's what's going to happen.
So they didn't hurt anybody. If anything, they took the biggest blow from the whole thing.
Well, yeah, obviously, but people got burned, and that's why all that stuff happened. People were happy with the games; it would never have been a problem. But when you release no quality control games, that's what you get.
Okay. All right. Okay, I guess we'll just we'll let the viewers decide on that one.
Yeah. You decide.
You at home, sitting on the computer chair or whatever you're on right now. You decide. Does the Atari 2600 win, or is it the PS4?
I know what I'm thinking.
Are you thinking Arby's?
How did he know?
How did he know? Now, obviously, this is all for fun.
Yeah.
We're not trying to say one's better than the other. We are, but you know what I mean? Like, not trying to be like, oh, fuck your console. Like, it's shit.
I think we both argued for the other console a little bit.
No. Yeah, well, like we definitely did, because my home console of choice of the generation is definitely the PS4. It's I'm not trying to say the PS4 is bad. It's just fun to stack them up against each other like this.
Yeah, it's goofy.
It's goofy because there's no right way to go about it.
Yeah.
Because
there are no winners in this.
Yeah, there are no winners in this fight. They're all just if we're gonna count the numbers in the name, you only have 4, and I got 2,600.
There were 2,599 versions before that.
Oh yeah, is that how they came with the console name?
I can only assume.
Wow, well, that's a lot of sequel consoles then. If anything, that would be a long-lasting legacy then. There's that many consoles.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I guess that was the debate. We've been going on for a while now.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be a smart choice to stop soon.
Okay. Well, I'm Spencer.
Of the Itch Network.
The Itch Network.
You can go check out his channel. It's linked to this channel. And I'm Alex from the Turbo Zone, where stuff happens.
Beeps, boops.
Beeps and boops and fucking fighting. A lot of fighting.
You gotta stop fighting.
We gotta never stop fighting. I'm like a fucking Street Fighter character.
Out on the
Hadouken!
Alright, well, take it easy, everybody.
Later.
Hey geeks and gamers, TurboBot90013 here. Remember to subscribe to the Turbo Zone for more content. The Arcade Overlord, thank you. Stay retro. Turbo Zone.